Welcome to Ask an Advisor. I'm Wes Moss, along with the great Christa DiBiase, who will be asking questions today specifically around teachers. Teachers in the state of Georgia. The teachers' retirement system is a massive and wonderful organization that helps hundreds of thousands of teachers. I don't know if it's millions or hundreds of thousands, but it's a lot of folks, and we get a lot of questions around this. We appreciate our Georgia teachers so much, and these are retirement questions that are specific to teachers. So are you ready to dive into this, Christa?
I'm ready, and thank you so much, Georgia educators. We are so grateful to you, as Wes said. This came in from Lacey in Savannah. I'm a 55-year-old third grade teacher here in Savannah. I've been with Georgia TRS for almost 25 years, and I'm already looking forward to my 30-year service mark, just 5 more years to go. Since I'm single with no spouse or children, I've started wondering, how do TRS pension options work when you don't have a spouse or dependent beneficiaries? Do I still need to choose one of the survivor options, or is the maximum benefit option the best path for someone like me? And what happens to my pension if I pass away shortly after I retire? Is there any way to leave it to a sibling or a niece? I want to make sure I'm making the best choice when it comes to my payout options, especially since I've worked so hard to get to this point. I'd love your take on how a single retiree should approach these decisions.
A single retiree. So Lacey's single. So first of all, I can see these conversations sitting down saying, look, stick it out. You're 25 years in, stick it out to 30 to get a really serious pension amount per month for the rest of your life. So that's one. It sounds like she's doing that. Number one. Number two, when you're single, there are some other things to think about, and it's not any less complicated because you've got your call it plan A, where you're getting the maximum amount that you can get for your life, or one of the B options is to take a reduced benefit that you pass away, then someone else gets that for the rest of their life. Now, maybe let's start with that. The plan, let's call it plan B option, where you can name someone to continue on with your pension. The age really matters. So you can put anyone as a beneficiary from my understanding, but the age really matters. So if you're 60 and the beneficiary to have your pension continue on, again, it'll be a reduced amount relative to if it was just you and based on your life. But if they're the same age, then it shouldn't impact the pension all that dramatically. But if it's somebody way younger, 10 or 20 years younger, let's say your younger nephew or niece, then you would have a really big reduction in the amount you're getting per month, because they're covering not only you, but then someone with a younger age for the rest of their life. So let's go back to, and that probably doesn't make sense in somebody that is single from what I've seen. So you're very likely looking at the max option, which is, again, you're going to get the most amount for the rest of your life for as long as you live. But what happens if something happens and you pass away? Well, you still could have a beneficiary, of course. And if it is let's say the TRS does look at the amount you've paid in. So let's say you've paid in $75,000, but you've only received, let's call it $50,000 worth of benefit since you started. Then the beneficiary would get, let's call it $25,000 in that situation. So it's not as though the beneficiary gets nothing. It's just really about the amount you've paid in relative to what you paid out. So if you're looking whether you do the max option for your life versus a plan B where we have someone else that continues on the payment, I think you probably I'd be leaning towards option A, max life payout. You can still name a beneficiary, anyone you want. And if something happens to you really quickly, or unfortunately, hopefully that doesn't happen, then there may very well be some money left over for the beneficiary.
Great. This one came in from Nick in Columbus. I'm a 52-year-old middle school teacher.
52.
And I've been a TRS member for just over 20 years. I'm considering stepping away from teaching temporarily, maybe for 2 to 3 years, to care for a family member and possibly returning to the classroom afterward. Here's what I'm trying to understand. If I take a break from TRS-covered employment, will I lose my active status? How long can I stay out of TRS before my account becomes inactive or stops earning interest? What happens to my service credit or vesting status if I'm out for several years? If I don't come back at all, will I still be eligible for my pension at age 60 based on the years I've already earned? I'd love your help understanding how long I can be out of service to still preserve my future TRS benefits, and if there's anything I should do now to make sure I don't lose those rights. Thanks so much.
There's a lot there, Nick. There's a couple of things. One, there are provisions within TRS that allow you to take a break and stay active, and that's 4 years. So if you want to go do something else, take care of a family member, go on another hiatus, go do something else, you can do that for up to 4 years. Still, TRS remains active, and then you can come back. And then as long as you have 1 year working in 5, you can, even if you go past the 5 years, once you now work another year, you can get your active status back. So I think that's the good thing, and it's designed to some extent for teachers to be able to do that. What happens if your account becomes inactive? Let's say you go beyond 4 years, the account stops earning interest. That's one of the provisions. You can't purchase service credit if you've gone past that 4-year mark, and you lose the ability to apply for disability. So there's a lot of things that do happen, but the previous service years that you've worked, those do get preserved, so they don't go away. Then you've got to get back active status. You have to work that 1 more year, and then you're back active again. So as long as you have 10 years of active service with TRS, then you get vested. And even if you leave now and never return to TRS, you're going to still apply for your TRS pension when you hit age 60. So should you do anything before taking a break? One, keep your credentials handy so you can keep checking in to the TRS website. Make sure your beneficiary designations are up to date, because if something happens and you forget about this, just make sure before you take the break, your beneficiaries are up to date. And if you're going to leave for more than 4 years, I would go talk to somebody at TRS and before you do that, and talk about your reinstatement options if that you think that's going to be an issue. And maybe most importantly, you probably don't want to withdraw your TRS amount unless you're 100% certain you're not going to return. So I would just be really careful about that as well, because then you can go back, get active again, and then count on what I think is a really amazing benefit from TRS, which is that monthly pension that will last for your lifetime. And if you choose, going back to the last question, if you have a spouse, you want to be protected as well, to have a pension for their life as well if something happens to you. Getting to retirement and figuring out a way to feel comfortable heading into retirement for anybody takes a lot of planning, a lot of diligence, a lot of thought. And then there's this extra layer, I think, of complexity that teachers go through, because they've got to really understand the Georgia TRS system. There's a lot of different ways to go with it, but we're happy to help when it comes to answering some of these questions. Of course, probably no better resource than TRS themselves in order to do this. They're there to help teachers, and they support, again, an extraordinary amount of folks here in the state of Georgia. And they're obviously a great resource as well. If you have more retirement planning questions or questions from teachers or non-teachers, we're happy to answer those as well. You can send them just by going to yourwealth.com/contact. Those questions come straight to me and our team, and we're happy to help.